Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to Life After Neverland. My name is Karin, and today we're talking about The Chosen Season 2, Episode 2, I Saw You. I'm so excited about this Season 2. I am grateful that The Chosen has been able to achieve a second season, and I completely cannot wait for more seasons already. I think let's hope God can truly continue to bless this series, the actors, Dallas Jenkins, the producers, all the writers, everyone, because this series is so touching and so appropriate to what's going on in the world right now as we speak. And if you've never heard about The Chosen, you guys, I really want to encourage you to go onto the Google Store app, type in The Chosen, and you can start watching this beautiful series about Jesus. And it's all free. And if you're feeling hopeless, helpless, lost, and you just need some light in your life, this is what you need. And my husband was looking online about the most downloaded apps, I believe maybe TV show apps. He was showing it to me the other day, and The Chosen was right up there, right above Disney even. I was super excited. So let's continue that trend. Go on that Chosen app, download The Chosen, and start watching right now, okay? Don't come back until you watch the series, season 1 and season 2, and then make sure you come back, of course, because I really want you to chit chat with me about what you saw. It's very touching, and I think we all need each other right now. So let's talk about this episode. This episode was really moving, and I think it can touch any of us in many different ways. So let me tell you why I think that. So we meet Nathaniel. Nathaniel is an architect, and he's working for a bureaucracy, and he's trying to get things accomplished. He's letting them know what he needs in order to be successful at what he's doing and his goals that he's trying to achieve, and they won't listen to him, and they're pushing up against what he needs to do. And the feeling that I get is that if they would just listen to Nathaniel, they would just give him what he needs, everyone would be happy. They don't want to do that. And ultimately, the work that he had put forth, the building that he was trying to create, tumbled down to the ground, ended up hitting some man, another bureaucrat, another worker, and he was injured. And of course, it led to Nathaniel being fired, and everything that he had ever dreamed of doing, all of his goals, everything he studied and everything he worked for, everything he knew, everything that made him him, was now completely done, gone. So you can imagine what that must feel like. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced anything like that. I have. You see Nathaniel, first you see him at a bar and he's talking to the bartender. Makes you think back on Mary, the very first episode of season 1. You're going to hear my bird chirping. He's absolutely beautiful. Hopefully he doesn't bother you. I'm just used to his singing and I love it. It's soothing to me. So anyways, so back to Nathaniel. He's at the bar and he's talking about the death of a friend. And while he's talking to the bartender, you obviously know that this person is not a friend. It's actually Nathaniel, and he's talking about his soul. Nathaniel is basically just feeling like death. He'd lost a part of himself. I actually did a devotional in regards to what happened in my life that was very similar to that. So I'm going to go ahead and post the link to that right here. If you guys are interested in hearing about that, I won't bore you with any details right now. But I have definitely been where Nathaniel was in this episode, and my heart was going out to him and anyone who's ever experienced the loss of your goal, passion in life, everything you ever dreamed, everything that made you you, everything that you worked hard for, and your intentions in which you set out to do it. And I feel like with Nathaniel in the show, Nathaniel wanted to do good. He wanted to build synagogues, and he wanted to bring people closer to God by doing so. And then you see him sitting below this fig tree, crying, speaking to God, and you see his work. He pulls out, his portfolio, so to speak, and his work is amazing. And he's burning it. I had something similar with me. I was throwing away all my work, everything I have, my whole entire life, had done into dumpsters. And it makes you feel like a failure. It makes you feel like you don't know where to turn, where to go. You feel lost. So I can only imagine what it must have felt like for him. he was praying to God and he was trying to get God to like connect with him, and he wasn't feeling it, but he was putting sand over him and everything. I really think he wanted to connect with God at a very deep level, but it wasn't happening at that time. So we meet Philip. Philip is a new character, introduced to us, one of the disciples, and he becomes one of the disciples. He's friends with John the Baptist, and he meets Simon. And of course, you see Simon, he's being kind of judgy. You know how Simon can be if you watch The Chosen. We love Simon so much. But there's a lot of judging going on in this episode, which is really interesting. There's so much. There's so much that's going on in this episode that we're all really actually dealing with right now. So that's why I'm kind of like, which one do I pick, to talk about? Because you could talk about so much. This is a really profound episode, in my opinion, parallel to the worlds that we're living in right now. We'll talk about Philip in a few more minutes. Towards the end of the episode, we realize that Philip knows Nathaniel. And Nathaniel is found by Philip just laying in bed, distraught, depressed, the ultimate depressed, the ultimate. Philip is trying to encourage him to come with him because he has met the Messiah. And Nathaniel doesn't believe him. He's like, what? The Messiah, he's judging, coming from Nazareth? No way. There's no way someone that grand or some being that grand could come from Nazareth. Which, isn't it amazing that Jesus came from Nazareth? Do you know what I mean? I think that alone speaks about God in general. One of the things, I don't know if I've mentioned before in any of my other videos, is that I wasn't really raised in church. So I am really going through The Chosen and learning about all of these disciples for the first time, really. And so it's really exciting for me because, and I've said this before, The Chosen makes these disciples come to life, and they make them real. They go through real life situations that we go through. And I really feel like it touches your soul on such a deep level. It literally helps you to grow, which is what you want from the Bible. So if you're having a hard time understanding the Bible, you definitely need to watch The Chosen. I do believe Dallas Jenkins also who is the director of The Chosen, the creator of The Chosen. I do believe that he has a story that is parallel to Nathaniel as well. It wouldn't hurt you to look into his story. It's very fascinating and very touching. My dogs are having an amazing time outside. When you visit me on my vlog, you're always going to get animals. Okay, so at the very end of the episode, and if you haven't seen the episode, you guys, please go watch it first and then come back because I'm going to give you, obviously, tons of spoilers. But Nathaniel finally decides to go with Philip. He's convinced a bit. And then he meets Jesus. And I think at the point where he's fully convinced is when Jesus says that he basically saw him, the title of the episode, underneath the fig tree. And he understood why his heart was so broken. He understood that his heart was broken because he wanted to do good in the world and he wasn't able to. Why? Because Jesus didn't say this, but other people were crushing his dreams. Other people were crushing his soul. But Jesus had a different purpose for him. But the fact that Jesus saw him under the tree and knew what he was feeling inside his heart, because Nathaniel didn't think God was listening to him when he was underneath that tree. He felt rejected. And when he met Jesus and Jesus said, I saw you there. Even though Jesus physically wasn't there, right? That's when he was sold. And Jesus even admitted, I had to tell you that in order to make you believe. But that's what makes their portrayal of Jesus so beautiful in so many different ways, is because he'll say it in a joking way. Really? I had to tell you that? And now you believe? Really? I love it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Philip and Matthew. Oh my goodness. Matthew's story. I always love me some Matthew. Can I get a amen from the rest of you guys? I know you love Matthew. How could you not? But the story behind Matthew is what really fascinates me in this episode, because it is the one that I truly feel is very parallel to our world right now and what we're all kind of going through. I don't want to speak for all of you, but kind of what I'm seeing and feeling. So Philip is talking to Matthew, and Matthew feels very much judged by other people, especially Simon and his family and the situation that he was in when he was a tax collector. And he was basically saying that people don't like him. He doesn't connect with other people. Something that Philip said that I thought was beautiful is he said, sleepers, he used the word sleepers, want to define us by our past and also our mistakes or our sins. And Matthew was like, well, what do you mean by sleepers? And he was basically indicating to him that because they know Jesus, that they are awake. And I feel like that was the parallel that I was thinking about in the world that we have right now. Do you feel that you are more awake and seeing kind of what's happening in the world that we're living in right now? Or are you asleep and you have no idea what's happening at this moment in time? I honestly think that the things that are going on in our world right now are biblical. I couldn't help but just wish that we could know Jesus in the way that these disciples know Jesus. Like, I wish we could see him. I wish he would come to my house right now and ask me to follow him. That's what I want. Come on, let's do this, Jesus. I want that right now. So Matthew was trying to explain what he was feeling by kind of making a diagram, which is like so Matthew to me, to Philip. And he drew a circle on the ground and he said, this is how I see the world. And then he drew a circle outside of the world, a little tiny one. And he said, this is how I feel all the time. I'm here. And this is everybody else. Do you guys ever feel that way? I bet there are so many people that feel like that. And I have always felt like that. And some of us feel that way within our own family dynamics as well. Philip said something wise. This is what Philip said. Everyone in your old life is playing a different game than you are now, which is why he's not fitting in. I wrote this on my notes. I feel lonely a lot of the times. I really do. I feel the same as Matthew. But I would rather be awake, so to speak, taking Philip's words, than a sleeper any day of my life. And if you even see The Chosen in the very beginning, how they have the fish and all the gray fish are going this way and all of the teal fish are going this way, which is going against the grain, taking the narrow path. And the narrow path is really not easy at all. But I'd rather take it. It's sad that Matthew doesn't believe in himself, and it's truly very heartbreaking, in all honesty, because I feel like, a lot of us have been there before and we can really relate to Matthew, hence the reason why people love Matthew so much, I truly feel. So you see in the episode that Matthew doesn't really believe in himself, and he kind of sees himself through the eyes of the people that dislike him, and through his family who seems very disapproving of him. But then Philip, he says Jesus chose you, and that's where your confidence comes from now. Maybe a lot of us could be like Nathaniel, because if we don't physically see Jesus in our life, how do we really know that he approves of us? How do we really know that he's leading us? How do we know? And it's a soul thing. It's something that we have to feel, and we have to kind of try to check ourselves every single day. It makes it harder, doesn't it? To know for sure. Then you see Philip talking to Jesus, and I really loved that moment because Jesus confessed in this little fireside chat with Philip that he has taken a few days away from his disciples to sort of reflect, think, because he knows, he's indicating that he knows that he may not be around very much longer. And it was simply because Philip said, do you have a death wish? Most likely because Jesus is out there. He's literally putting himself out there for people to judge. Whenever there is light, and especially a light as large as Jesus' light, as bright, I should say, as Jesus' light, there's always going to be those that want to take him down. And Philip asked him, do you have a death wish? And Jesus said, well, I wouldn't really call it a wish. I've heard rumor that The Chosen is planning and hopefully wanting to go to season 7. So we need to help them to do that. So we'll still get a lot of Jesus in The Chosen if they're able to fulfill that wish. And I feel strongly that they will, because we have their back, right, guys? But, we're going to start really understanding what Jesus felt leading up to these tragic days ahead. You can tell Jesus is very worried about the ending for him. Another part of the episode that I liked is when Matthew was trying to write down things that Jesus has said because he wants to share it with the world. Simon didn't like that. And Simon always seems to be very protective of Jesus. And one of the things that Simon said was writing those words basically trapping Jesus. It's trapping him in his words because the bureaucrats and those that don't believe will twist his words and try to defame him. Wow. And talking about words, words are so powerful. I do feel like many conservatives these days are having that exact thing happening to them right now. Isn't it crazy? It's crazy. And that's why I say we're living in biblical times. Matthew is still trying to be positive, and Simon's sitting there saying, well, what you're doing, basically being so trusting and honest in that way, you're not really seeing how the world actually works. And that's tough. And we're all in that place right now. Do we speak up and say what we truly feel? How do we do that? Are we going to get defamed? Are people going to change our words and twist them into something that we don't mean? So this is a really good episode, you guys. Really, really good. Matthew was also talking to Philip about how he felt like he lost time. And I'm sure Nathaniel felt the same way. I spent all this time on this in order for it to be completely torn down. All of my dreams, all of my goals, everything I thought God made me to be, and it's gone. And now Matthew also, he turned away from his life, even though that was obviously a good thing for Matthew, because people were not treating Matthew right at all. But Philip's way of thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be amazing to have someone like Philip in your life, right? Because he was saying your life, you didn't lose anything. It just got rearranged. So you got shifted around into a new direction. What are you going to do now? In my opinion, to anyone who's listening and watching my episode, the opportunities are endless. And I do believe Jesus said in one of season 1's episodes that they were talking about how he's a craftsman and things like that. And I believe he was saying it to little kids. Jesus loves the little children, maybe. And he was basically indicating that man, including Jesus, have many more talents than just one. Okay? And so that's a beautiful thing. Because if your life does get rearranged, I'm sure you have other wonderful things on your own personal skill level that you could enhance. Maybe you just didn't look at it before because you were only focusing on that one. So basically, you guys, this episode was awesome. I really hope that you guys will check it out. I hope you will watch it. I hope you'll go back and watch season 1 if you haven't already, and join me here for season 2. It just started. There's so many parts of this that I think all of us can relate to, whether it's losing everything that you thought you were, okay? And what does that do to you? What does that do to you? And where do you go from there? Or maybe you've spent your whole life feeling like an outsider. Does that mean you actually are an outsider? No. Having the strength and having the courage to speak up and say your truth and what you believe in and who you truly are, how valuable and important is that? I really feel that you'll find hope again by watching The Chosen. So much hope, so much beauty, and such beautiful life lessons in here. Ones that are so relatable on a soul level. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you. Many of you have left beautiful comments after my episodes, and I greatly appreciate that. I want to ask you before we head out, who is your favorite disciple and why? Which character has touched your heart and why? Until next time, you guys, God bless you. Stay strong. Spread love and light. I'll see you guys next week. I can't wait. Bye. Don't forget to download The Chosen. Bye, guys.